Welcome to the quick start for mapping using MicroStation Connect Edition. In this session, we're going to take a look at how we can display aerial imagery. We're going to attach aerial photographs so that we can see them in the context of our mapping project. Of course, displaying aerial photographs is helpful because it allows us to view existing infrastructure and provides a visual reference for the project location. It also allows us to go ahead and digitize some geographic features that may be missing from our file. We're going to go ahead and start MicroStation and go back into the same file that we've been working in. And we're going to make a few changes here first. So you'll notice that my line weights are pretty heavy. I've got some things that are filled or turned on in the background. So I can again go to View Attributes, go to the View tab, select View Attributes. And from View Attributes, I'm going to turn off the fill and turn off my line weights. So everything is nice and thin in terms of the line weights and kind of cleans up my data a little bit more. So now that I've got all of this information ready to go, I want to start attaching some of my aerial imagery. The first thing I need to do, though, is to make sure that I have the correct settings set up for my aerial images, my raster data. I'm going to go to the File tab here, and from the File tab, I want to choose Settings. And from Settings, I want to go to User Settings and take a look at User Preferences. So these are preferences that are specific to me. So here's my user preferences, and from user preferences, I'm going to go to the raster manager category. Now remember, raster is referring to the images that we're working with. And raster images, of course, are just a common term that's used in the industry when referring to different types of pictures, like a JPEG or a TIFF. In this particular case, we're going to be using SID files. So we're all familiar with these raster images. So it's just like your photographs that you would take with your digital camera. When you zoom in, it becomes pixelated. You can start to see the individual pixels that make up the image. So these are resolution dependent. From the raster manager preference, I want to go to the georeference tab. And in the georeference tab, I want to make sure that I have use sister georeferenced file turned on and save location information. So this is going to use any external file that is telling us how the image is georeferenced, and then we want to save that location. I just want to make sure that my unit is 1:1 and that I'm using US survey feet, as well as make sure that my unit definition geokey is present. We'll override this if I need to. So I am ready to go here. I'm going to click on OK and then hit the back button to get back to my design canvas. Now we're going to attach raster data, so we're going to go back to that Attach Tools dialog. But instead of using the references here, we're going to go ahead and click on the downward pointing arrow next to Attach Tools and select Raster Manager. The Raster Manager is going to allow us to attach these files. Looks like I already have some attached in another file here, so I am going to quickly detach those. Going to need to drill into that file and get rid of these files. So just a little bit of setup I needed to do to get this to work correctly. All right, good. So let's go back to that raster manager. Again, click on the downward pointing arrow and select raster manager. All right, they're all gone. You'll notice that if I have rasters attached as a reference, I can actually see those as well. So if a reference file has rasters attached to it and I reference that file, then I will see the rasters come along as well. So the first thing I really want to be able to do here is go ahead and select, go to File, Attach, and I want to attach a raster. There's a lot of different formats that you have available to you here. You can see that there's many formats available in the MicroStation world. We're in fact working with these SID files, commonly known as Mr. SID files. What we're going to do is take a look at a couple of these different files here. There is actually some coordinate information that's embedded in these files. So we're going to go ahead and select a file here. We'll pick up this one right here, 11247. If we're going to open these as a read-only, we're going to not place it interactively. It's going to automatically place this for us, and it's going to take us through a settings dialog. So here's my raster attachment options. I can say I do want to place it interactively or not. I want to use a geo priority as my attachment method, and that's really what I want to be able to do here, is to make sure that I'm using the geo priority. There's some additional information about displaying and printing and colors. I'm going to leave all of those to be default. And I'm just going to make one change here. I don't want this actually to be on the level default. I actually want it to be on a level called raster. That way I can control the display of the rasters also through my level system. So at this point I can go ahead and attach it. And there is my raster data. So if I zoom in, I can actually start to see the actual aerial photograph of, or satellite photograph of this area, just depending on how it was taken. So works out rather nicely. It's actually pretty easy to do the same thing with a variety of other files. So if I come back to the file, attach, and raster, I can go ahead and attach all the remaining files here. So I can use my control key to select these other files and attach them all at once. In this case, I just have to click on open. It automatically does that for me. Once again, I just want to set my level to raster, and everything else I'll leave alone. And it starts to bring in all of that raster data. So if I zoom out here, you can see that I have all of my raster data around my project, so I can see everything clearly, and we're ready to go with our raster tools. So there's a few things that I can do here with regards to controlling my view. I can do a fit rasters to view, so that'll fit. If I zoom out here and do that and click inside the view, make sure that my tool setting is set to all rasters. That's one way of fitting your data. I can also do what's called an actual resolution, so that 1 pixel on the screen is equal to 1 pixel in the raster. So there is the ability for you to control the different ways. You can control your contrast and brightness as well. And all you have to do is work with the contrast and brightness tools. I have this set to read only at the moment, so I'm not able to really mess around with these too much, but I can always change my methodology. So this is a read only mode. I can come over here and make changes to the read only mode if I have permissions to do that. Most times we don't want people messing with this, so we can lock it down and say, no, you will work in a read only mode. So let's go and take a look at some of the data that we have in here. So I can use my standard zoom tools, and I'm going to zoom into this building over here. And so what I want to do actually is to do a quick look at this building, and actually we will eventually trace over it. But this does show us the building more clearly, especially if I do the 1:1 resolution here and accept it. Actually, my raster imagery is being reprojected right now, so that tool is just showing me the standard zoom that I have set up already. If I zoom out any further, it'll make pixels appear larger. If I zoom out any closer, it'll be grainy or pixelated. So you also have the ability of doing fit view. So the fit view command over here provides us the ability to fit all, fit the active file, the reference file, or the raster files. So now I can do the fit view, and there it fits all my raster data for me. So that's actually kind of my favorite one to use. Quickly locates all of my raster data for me, and then I can zoom in on an area of interest very quickly. So there's a lot of valuable information in these particular images, so we can use that information. Um, for example, you can see over here, they don't actually have all of this additional driveway information and parking lot information drawn in. So that shows that the last time this area was worked on, some additional work had been done, and now there's some new data there which we might want to account for. So this information then points out that our last survey needs to be updated. The same thing occurs here. If I go ahead and do a fit view of my rasters, I can now go to File and Save Settings, and that'll remember which last view zoom level I had set up. So in the next session, we're going to go ahead and use this raster information to generate some geometry and learn how we can actually create new elements based on our raster data.